Hey everybody, Jeff Barnes here, and for Brews, Barbells, and Badassery. Now it's going to be Brews, Barbells, Bohurt, and Badassery. We're going to include it all somehow. Anyway, so this is I'm going to try a video blog. Got to talk with my hands. Don't know what I'm going to do with my hands. Anyway, um, I'm starting a video blog about my journey. It's really me just documenting my progress, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Love to have your feedback. I'll let you know what's working, what's not working, and go from there. So it's been a while since I made a post, and it's just really because life got in the way and kind of changing priorities and focus. But I will say that I really have committed my life and living a lifestyle towards the sport of armored combat, bohurt, deeds of arms, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people don't understand it. Every time I talk to somebody about the sport, I usually get that look like you are nuts, and maybe we all are. If you're interested in the sport and you think hitting each other with steel weapons and wearing armor is quite practical and necessity, maybe there's something wrong with our wiring. That said, let's roll back, catch up from the last post. I did a pretty intensive post about lifting and exercising, the fitness portion of what I thought was important for armor combat. And I realized that at that time, I've been powerlifting and doing strongman competitions for years, so I was crazy strong. But going to events and getting winded easily, not performing at near the level I feel like I should be performing at, having a history of fighting in my past, I kind of looked at the videos, and go, man, you are doing terribly. So I wanted to do something to change all that because I'm in my mindset. I'm always trying to improve, always trying to step it up. So, going back to my first event, which was Dragon Con 2016, getting knocked on my ass and having fun and doing a lot of duels, to iTalk 2016, where basically I was just hugging people and trying to stand my ground, to today where nowhere am I near at the top of the level, but I have extremely improved, um, due to several factors, and I kind of wanted to cover that. The factors it comes down to simple equations of lifting, dieting, and consistency. So, lifting, it wasn't until February. Yeah, it was February when I kind of switched my programming up. So my old programming was basically doing strongman lifting, with some CrossFit movements for mobility and some cardio. So running, 5K, keeping a 5K, distance, was kind of what I was doing. Slow trotting kind of stuff. And at the time, I was really happy with my numbers. My weight kept going up. But in a strongman, I really didn't care about that weight, because the weight was just a factor of, you have to have gains, you got to have size. The more muscle mass you can build, the more potential for you to use that muscle mass in order to lift your heavier weights. I was chasing a 700-pound deadlift. I was chasing a 650 squat. I was doing a lot of things. I was doing all the things that my training was getting me there. But I was going through that training alone. I was having a lot of injuries and had to recover from injuries, spending a lot of time with a PT. Something had to change. And what it came down to, after one practice, I just realized, we were doing duels. Like, I'm breathing way too hard. Yeah, I can hit these people, my fellow teammates, and they don't like me hitting them because I can hit them strong. But all they have to do is sit there and outpace me and run away from me, and I'm done. They can get their points and run away, and here I am, slowly trotting, trying to chase them down. Something had to change. Then post Battle of Nations this last year, um, I showed up in great shape. I had lost a little bit of weight, but No, actually, I hadn't lost any weight. I mean, I showed up with a purpose. I was training. I had cardio. I had strength. I had what I considered at the time being the best shape I possibly could be for that fight. Um, I did my job. I held the line. I did get taken down more than I liked. Of course, we fought some fantastic fighters, and we lost several of our fights, and but it was a huge learning experience. I like taking that, getting beat up, kind of like, it's a hard lesson to learn, but for me, whenever I lose, I take it as a learning experience instead of like, oh shit, I'm just going to quit and screw all this. If you beat me, or if I lose, you know that's a learning experience. That kind of drives me forward. It's like when you fail a heavy deadlift or you fail a PR, it pisses you off, but you're going to hit it. And so I don't quit myself. I just go after it. So so coming back from Battle of Nations, I realized that the one thing is I'm plenty strong for the fighting that I'm doing. What I lack is a lot of mobility, and more. I need more endurance, and I need to be more fierce on the field. I can't just. I mean, yes, I need to be the wall because of my size. I need to be the wall to stand and hold back 2 or 3 guys, which I did on several good occasions. But it didn't last. After the first 30 seconds, you got to do something, and that something didn't happen for me, and I needed to. That's something to take away, and I needed to improve upon. So coming back from all that experience, we train at a CrossFit gym, and talk to the CrossFit owners and say, hey, look, this is where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out how to deliver more power, speed, endurance, drop some weight, because I figured dropping some weight, I would lose some of my strength, but I think having some weight allowed me to just perform better. Of course, it's easier on my heart and it's easier on everything else to be successful in the sport. Since then, I've lost 50 plus pounds. I should weigh myself this weekend. It's just been kind of crazy. Last time I checked, it was 53 pounds, and that's a couple weeks ago. It should be a little bit more than that. I'm not really harping on the weight loss. I've got a goal that I want to get to, but it's more of a percentage body fat, quote unquote, or actually more how I want to look like at this point. Now I feel like I've lost plenty of weight to be able to perform well. I think losing another, getting the goal weight that I'm looking for, I would be performing even better. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing to be successful. All that said, is wanted to talk about what I changed, which talked to this CrossFit gym. It was, quite frankly, doing CrossFit. I still do some accessory lifts. And I'll do some powerlifting movements on the side, but going to a CrossFit gym, going through those group classes, here's what I gained from that. In the group classes, I'm working out with other folks, and if you're working together in a group or you're just working together, individually with everybody, you're more likely to push yourself harder. I notice that in my runs. Whenever they ask us to go run 200 meters or run 400 meters, I hate being the last guy. And so I'm always pushing myself to not be that last guy. I'm going to beat one person. That doesn't happen all the time, but my times have greatly improved. And now I'm kind of close to running with the pack of the normal folks that are there. The other thing that CrossFit did was they're doing a lot of different lifts that I'm not used to. And that has taught me how to be better at, if I just decide to quit CrossFit or decide to quit Armored Combat and go back to strongman, because I still have a heart for strongman, how to be more efficient in my lifts, how to drive and get more power in my lifts. Because here's the thing, is some of my numbers, even though I've lost weight, have gone up. My front squat has gone way up. My overhead press has stayed consistent, which even with a lot weight loss is staying consistent and growing. Strict press and push press. I've lost in my squat and deadlift, but that's because we don't maximize those lifts on a regular basis. We do a lot of, you do a lot of front rack squats, you do a lot of some back squats, you do some benching every once in a while. So those big numbers are not, the big powerlifting numbers are not as important in Olympic lifting, but generating power is. And I think that anybody who's really considering the sport, they don't have to join a CrossFit gym. You can program it to this yourself, but having some, a basic formula where you're doing some type of warm up, and not talking about stretching at first. Do a warm up, get your muscles moving, get your body, get your heart rate moving, going a little bit. Do some strength training, whatever that strength training. If you're doing the normal bodybuilding splits, back and bis, chest and tris, all that kind of stuff, do that. And then high intensity interval training, whether it's Tabatas or whatever, do something that's between 15 and 20 minutes. Sometimes it's 12 minutes because of that you might be doing a heavy strength session that has also is cardio intensive. But I mean, you can program all around that. But those things, is that warm up, that strength portion, and that high intensity interval training portion. Is really important, because you're kind of pulling it all together, and it's not the same as lifting and then running. I mean, it's the idea of putting your heart rate and working it as hard as you can without stopping. And that is also important, because that was hard for me, because from my old days, it's go hard as you can, and that's strongman. You go hard as you can, and then till you can't, and then you stop. With CrossFit, you have to spend a lot of time maintaining that endurance. You don't want to stop and having to catch your breath. If you're having to stop and catch your breath, then you need to reduce the amount of weight you're lifting, change something so that you can continue to perform through the entire period of time. That has worked volumes for me. It has been phenomenal, because now, at first I sucked. I mean, I had to really slow down. I had to drop weight, that I was lifting, because, I couldn't maintain. So let's say you were doing, I don't know, one of the WODs where you had to do 21 front squats, then 15 front squats, and then 9 front squats, and then switch to something else, and then just keep going, right? For time, when you're so gassed because you're trying to lift heavy, your body just can't do that. So you've got to drop the weight and pace yourself. What the pacing has done for me is that I've seen my ability and my endurance greatly increase. I'm less likely to stop having to catch my breath or get air, because I've learned that I can get into the workout, pick the right weight that challenges me, of course, and then continue to work out and continue to force myself to do the work. And even when you feel like your heart's beating out of your chest, guess what? I can still be doing push-ups or whatever exercise we're doing. What it has taught me is that I can continue to perform when my body is saying, "Hey, you're pushing too much. You got that lactic acid building up. Can you sprint that last 100 meters?" It forces you to say, it's as much mental training as it is physical training, because you realize that, it sucks, but you've been here before. You can suck it up and keep going. And that ability to build that grit, that ability to say, yes, it sucks, but continue on. I can continue on for a little bit longer. I can continue on a little bit longer. You see where runners say, "Hey, I pick a telephone pole, and I'm going to hit that telephone pole. If I feel like I can go a little bit more, I'm going to hit the next one, and I'm going to go to the next one until I can't do it anymore." And then and they set a new goal. It's the same thing here. It's like, I'm going to push myself, and I'm going to try to not stop for the entire workout. If that means I'm just doing body weight exercises, even though everyone else is doing weighted exercises, that means I'm doing body weight exercises, because I'm keeping myself doing the exercise for the entire period of time. I think that's one of the most important things. Despite lifting, getting stronger, putting on some mass. If you're lightweight, you want to gain weight. Obviously, that's strength is very important. Size is very important if you're trying to build some size, and that kind of stuff. That's been helping. Besides doing all that, the lifting and the working out, I do a lot of P.E.L. work. So in my garage, I went through a season of doing 1,000 strikes a night, and that was a little much. I think 300 strikes is plenty. but it's just training your body and put video you striking your pel, whether it's a rubber tire, is a tire on a wall, or wherever you've got it set up. You just videotaping your strikes and say, okay, well, this, I'm not doing it right. I'm not throwing my hip into it. To be more precise in your strikes, be able to point and target your strikes. So there's some great combinations out there that you can look. The ACL has a great video. Well, not a great video. It's a forum. They're what they're called the blocks and clocks. I think it came from SCA, but it's a, regardless where it came from, whoever created it works great. And then you can build the combos of the different strikes to strike, and I think it's a phenomenal thing. So the pel work, along with your lifting, it doesn't have to be heavy. You don't have to be like doing a Tabata. Some people use pel work as Tabata, and I agree with them doing that, except for I would hold back a little bit, because treating as Tabata, then you're losing form, and you what you do in your training is what you do on the field. And I feel like if you're training hard with the Tabata and you're just trying to whack that tire or that pel as hard as you can, and and you get shitty form, well, guess what? You're gonna have shitty form on the field regardless, because that's how you trained. So I use, for me, you can sit here and I can use my pen here and just practice my strikes, and just simulate the movement. But the pel work also teaches you stances. It teaches you how to step in, how to step out, work with different weapons, so you understand your range and how you can drop shots so much better than you did before. The last thing is skills and drills. And skills and drills is the hardest part of our sport for Bowhurt. Skills and drills, you got to watch a lot of videos. I spend a lot of time on YouTube watching videos of the Europeans and what they're doing. Palmetto Knights has a great resource of videos and training that they've accumulated. Also, the Iron Phoenix has a lot of their stuff that they're posting about how they're training. They've got a training event that I'm hoping to go to. It's a winter camp at the end of January in Seattle. I'm really hoping to get there, as long as money's all right. That's what we're going to do. But skills and drills, there's always something new out there that you can learn. And you got to be practicing them on a regular basis. It's one thing to watch it on video, but if you don't have a group of people that you can work out with, or just somebody you can learn with, it makes it really difficult. But because you need to practice those skills and drills, it's not impossible. It really is not impossible. You just got to get creative. You might have to create your own throwing dummy to kind of simulate the events and strategy. So lifting, movement, pel work, skills and drills, those are kind of the key components to being successful in the sport. And I wanted to go back and highlight about the movements. Now, movements is not just carrying a weapon; it's getting full range of motion for your body. It's when I started CrossFit, I literally couldn't put my hands together, and I'm not joking that I was so tight in my back and my arms and my shoulders that I couldn't literally put my hands together comfortably. They would stay about right here, and just because I had lack of mobility, I had a lot of tension, I had a lot of issues with shoulders, just because I've spent an enormous amount of time lifting heavy. I also had a lot of problems with my squat, because in strongman and most powerlifting, you're just trying to go to parallel. Just go right below parallel. So when you're trying to go below parallel, you're working muscles up here. Let's say that's your knee joint right here. You're working muscles here that you really don't work a lot, because when you're shooting just for parallel, right below parallel, right? And so you're loading a lot on the quads, but these particular muscles are weak, and that's why lunges suck and that kind of stuff. So I spend a lot of time, and I still spend a lot of time working that mobility. I do a lot of stretches through my hips and legs and my hamstrings to get them to loosen up, because that's usually the area that after a heavy workout session, that's really where I end up having pains, is those areas where I know are naturally tight, and I have a tendency to be tight. So shoulders for me are naturally tight, lower back's naturally tight, and that's really more due to hamstrings and lack of hip mobility. So I spend an enormous amount of time there. So know your body and spend a lot of time in doing mobility. Mobility is strength. If your muscles can get full range of muscles through that whole movement, and you feel, and you're solid, you're not wobbly bobbly, you've got your body can hold itself, and throughout those movements, that mobility is going to carry over to having more stability in your lifts. It's going to carry over into everything else that you do. So those are the main things I've been focusing on. I've like I said, I've my own measure. I have greatly improved. I've had on multiple accounts people who I have fought recently. I've seen a huge improvement in my fighting, a huge improvement specifically in my endurance. And because of what I'm doing, there's several other people jumping on the bandwagon and saying, you know what, it's time to step up. Just getting together an armor once a month or every other month or so is not enough to say that I'm fit enough to continue to fight. Because I tell you what, I'm about to turn 42 this year, and there's a whole group of 20-year-olds that are coming into the sport that are hungry to fight. And I want to keep fighting as long as I can. I look up to Richard Starr and how hard he has been, keeping the sport alive at 63, and he's still wanting to fight. That to me speaks volumes. And I know that he's changing his programming up. I know he's to improve and what he can do. It's tougher, especially as you get older. It's tougher, and so we all have to make some adjustments. But Richard, if you're watching this, man, I look at you. I admire the shit out of you for you taking the field and continue to want to fight. And whether you choose to fight on the national, international level, again, bro, you're a huge inspiration. Don't quit. You've got a lot to give for us all. So I wanted to talk about diet. So dropping 50 pounds, 50 plus pounds, hopefully 60. If I weigh myself, I'm really hoping for 60, but whatever it is, it is. I'm not going to beat myself up. It's the amount of weight. As long as I continue to lose body fat, I'm fine. I'm wearing pants today that I haven't worn in almost 3 years. I wore today. I wore to work a set of pants that I actually did the death race in. And I'm lighter than I did at the death race. But when I did the death race, they were tight on me. When I wore them today, they were really baggy and loose, and it's not a big difference in weight. So the transformation has happened. So dieting. So my advice for dieting is this: you got to pick a goal and stick to it, whatever that is. It's not a goal that's like it's written in stone. It's diets are always written in stone. Not that I say you can't stick to a diet. I means that you've got to. It's more of, instead of trying to figure out a diet and sticking to a diet and just be so hardcore on it. It's more about watching what your body does and what your body can do. Right? How's your body respond to a certain type of diet? Try eating a certain type of diet or eating certain type of foods. How does your body respond? Are you holding on to a lot more water? Are you gaining weight? Are you losing weight? Or you just feel sluggish? How is your body responding? And whatever it is, if you're wanting to gain muscle, you're going to have to there is some science where you can eat a caloric restriction and still gain muscle mass. It is possible. It's difficult. There's some science into that, and a lot more supplements that I want to go into. But the bigger picture is to gain size, to gain muscle mass, you need the excess calories so your body can have the energy to build those muscles, to repair the muscles that you tore up, and continue that process. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to be eating at a caloric deficit. Now, the key is that you're not just doing this diet alone, right? You're exercising. And so, I always try to eat back 60 to 70% of my exercise calories. And you say, whoa, what do you mean? Why would you do that? Well, in I say perfect, my programming, I eat at a caloric deficit. That means that if I don't work out that day, I have X amount of calories that, well, if I just eat those, whatever those calories are, I will lose hopefully between 1 and 2 pounds a week. That's what I've got to set up for. If I exercise on top of that, then I'm burning an excess of calories. So I want to consume food that's within my program for whatever diet I'm on. I want to consume about 60 to 70% of those calories back, because that means, I don't want my body going to starvation diet. I don't want to hold on to a bunch of water. I don't want to hold on to a bunch of weight. I just want it to feed, and as I'm putting more output in, I'm feeding it. So if you're dieting, I learned this trick because when I was running and doing ultra marathons, I kept plateauing, and I couldn't lose that weight, even though I was lowering the amount of calories I was taking, or extending the amount of the distance of my runs, both those things going in the same direction, and I wasn't losing more weight. A friend, Jeff Smith, actually said, man, you need to eat back your exercise calories. You need to add more calories to your diet. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy talk. But I did it, and next thing you know, I dropped my plateau, and I kept losing weight. So that's why when I work out, days I work out are kind of a little more exciting, because I have more variety of food that I can eat. I can eat a little bit more. I can fudge the numbers, not cheat, but I can eat more calories in one way or the other, and kind of balance it at the end of the day. That allows me to have my keto cheesecakes for either breakfast or dinner. I have those options, where I didn't have that before. And so the diet is key. So if you're again, have a goal where you're trying to gain size, lose weight, whatever that is, have that goal, stick to it, listen to your body, find a program that meets your needs, and go from there. For me, the diet of choice is keto, and here's the reason why. I like keto because it's not a fad diet. I like keto because I eat a lot of the food I enjoy eating. I eat cheeses and meats and bacon and cheesecakes and stuff like that. If I go out to lunch with my coworkers, I'm eating a salad with ranch dressing, and I'm eating a lot of ranch dressing, and I'm putting fats in there. I'm also trying to get healthy fats, olive oils and fish and that kind of stuff in my system. And the blood tests, the weight loss, all those numbers are showing like my LDL is already good, but it's like godlike now. My HDL is good. All my other numbers are good. I've checked out my heart, have my heart checked. I'm doing good. So all those things are working in my favor, along with the fact that with keto, you're using fat as fuel, and that took a while for my body to kick in. I think the everybody says like 2 weeks. It took me, I think, almost a month for it really to kind of kick in, and also for me to adjust to the diet. Obviously, there's all kinds of products out there that you can take. I'm really happy with. Ketologics, what I use. I use this every day, and it gives you more ketones in the afternoon. It gives you some mental clarity, and it helps assist with weight loss and appetite suppressant and all that kind of stuff. But it's not a sales ad. I don't care. You don't need to do that in order to lose weight. But the keto diet is been really successful for me. Of course, I'm not no super cut guy, and I probably will never be because of my body type. But I keep losing weight. I still have my goals, but I know what I'm doing. I'm good. I know what I'm focused on, and I just keep kind of dicking around with the programming a bit. Changing the diet up a little bit, changing this to try to see where I can maximize my results and see what how best I can do it. But anyway, I've talked long enough. I really just wanted to share with all you guys kind of my ideas of what's going on in the sport, kind of catch you up with things that are happening. Looking forward to, there's the Botten tryouts coming out here soon for the 21s and Final 5 selection. ACL New World Cup was a fantastic event, and I really thoroughly enjoyed what they did there. I'm having a great time with my crew. We're getting better. We're getting more people in armor, and now I'm starting to make armor. So God help me. All right, guys. This is Jeff Barnes for Brews, Barbells, Badassery, and Bohurt. Check with you later.